Hey everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we're bringing you how to play Mage Knight. This is an instructional video I've wanted to do for a long time. It's been a very daunting task to wrap my head around and finally decide to do it, but we are going to teach you how to play Mage Knight. This is going to be the base game without the expansions. I might come back and revisit to teach the expansions as well, particularly Lost Legion. But we're going to focus on the base game. This will be part one. Be sure to come back for part two. I believe it's just going to be 2 parts to teach you everything you know to play the game. Before we get into it, I do want to mention our sponsor, Board Game Co. This is a fantastic website where you can buy, sell, and trade games. They have a great selection to choose from if you're just looking to build out your collection, just trying to, fill in some of the gaps you've got. Maybe you're missing a genre, maybe you're missing a particular game that you just really want to have. Board Game Go can help you out. They also will buy games from you. If you're trying to get rid of 5, 6, 7 games, don't sell those to a bunch of different people. Sell them all to one person, send them all to Board Game Co., and that way you're not shipping all over the place. And then, of course, they have a trade feature. If you have a Board Game Geek username and you set up a trade list on Board Game Geek, you then take your username, drop it into Board Game Co., and they'll compare your trade list with their stock, build a custom trade list right there on their website. Makes it very easy to facilitate a trade. Strongly recommend it. Click on the link in the description below if you want to go over there. That way they know I sent you over there. Board Game Co. makes it easy to buy, sell, and trade your way into a better collection. I also want to bring your attention to a giveaway we currently have going on. If you go over to our top 15 games that we played over the past year, we just hit our 7-year anniversary for the channel. And so we have a list showing you the 15 games we played the most over the past year. If you go over there, check that list out, which there's a link right here in the corner of the screen. There's a giveaway in that video, and we're giving away Shores of Tripoli, donated by Stone Valley Games. Pendulum is donated by Board Game Co., as well as Power to the Meeple. And then we have a upgrade kit for Pendulum as well from Meeple Source. Animal Upon Animal from Haba. Hadrian's Wall from Garfield Games and Shem Phillips, and then Planet, donated by Blue Orange. So all that is available over there. Oh, and we had one last minute addition to the list. It's not mentioned in the video, but it is being given away a $50 gift card to Noble Knight Games. All of those have been generously provided by those different people that I just mentioned, so be sure to go check that out. And now let's teach you how to play Mage Knight. The first thing we're going to cover in this tutorial video are some basic game concepts. Now, throughout this, I will do my best to only show core game components, but my expansions are mixed in with the base game, and so a few expansion cards may slip into the video, or a few expansion components of other types. However, all of the mechanisms and concepts that I teach you will be based on the base game. First, let's talk about deed cards. All cards with this back are deed cards, but there are numerous types of deed cards. Basic and advanced actions, spells, artifacts, and wounds are all types of deed cards. At the start of the game, players will only have basic deed cards in their deck, and it will be a deck specific to their character. Each turn, players will play deed cards from their hand by putting them into their play area and resolving their stated effect. Different deed cards can be played in different ways. Action cards can be played to provide their basic effect, found here, or it can be powered by the indicated color of mana to provide its strong effect. A spell can be powered by 1 mana of the depicted color to provide its basic effect. Or at night, it can be powered by 1 mana of the depicted color and 1 black mana to provide its strong effect. An artifact can be played to provide its basic effect, or it can be thrown away and removed from the game for its strong effect. Wound cards cannot be played in any way and simply clog up your hand and deck. All non-wound action cards can be played sideways in the play area to provide either one move, one influence, one attack, or one block. To be clear, they cannot provide ranged attack, siege attack, or any kind of elemental attack or block in this way. And we'll cover specifics on those types of attacks and blocks later. Cards that provide similar effects may be played together to provide a cumulative effect. At the end of a player's turn, all played deed cards go into their discard pile. Unplayed cards remain in the player's hand unless they decide to discard one or more of them. However, wound cards may never be discarded in this way. Some card effects order the player to pay an extra mana of a color or to discard or throw away another card. If the player cannot pay this extra cost, then they cannot use this effect. And again, wounds can never be used in this way. Units are separated into two decks, regular and elite. At the start of the game, players control no units. Units may be recruited during the game, and once recruited are displayed in front of the player in the unit area at all times. Each unit in the player's unit area must be assigned a command token. A player may never have more units than they have command tokens. A unit is considered ready when its command token is above it, as you see here. A unit is considered spent when its command token is placed on it. A unit with a wound card across it is considered to be wounded. Newly recruited units are always ready and not wounded. If a player wants to gain a unit but all command tokens are already occupied, they must disband one of their units. A disbanded unit is removed from the game. They can then play their new unit. Regardless of the state of the disbanded unit, whether it's spent as you see here or if it's wounded, the new unit will be ready and unwounded. A unit that is ready and not wounded may be activated for one of its abilities. To activate a unit, put its command token onto it, then choose one of the abilities displayed on the unit card and apply its effect. The player may combine it with effects of other deed cards. Skills and units. If a player wishes to use an ability with a mana symbol in front of it, the player must pay that mana first. Anytime an ability allows the player to ready a unit, they may move the command token above it. It is now ready and can be activated again. Banner artifacts can be assigned to a unit at any time during the player's turn. The banner card is placed partially under the unit, and as long as the banner remains attached to the unit, it may benefit from the banner's basic effect. However, the strong effect is now inaccessible. If the unit is destroyed or disbanded, or if the player assigns another banner to the same unit, then the banner that's currently on the unit goes to the discard pile. At the end of the round, the player may decide to either keep the banner with the unit, or they can just shuffle it back into their deed deck. At the end of a player's turn, they do not discard ready or spent units. Units will all be readied at the end of the round instead. Skills are represented by skill tokens. Each character has their own unique set. At the start of the game, players have no skill tokens available to them. Each time a hero reaches an even-numbered fame level, however, they will gain one skill token. Players put the skill tokens they gain during the game face up in front of themselves. Players, of course, may gain skill tokens of their own character, but they will also have opportunities to gain skill tokens of other characters in the game as well. If they do, these are placed face up in front of them, just like their own skill tokens. That skill is now available for the player to use in the same way as their own. The use and effect of each skill is depicted by icons on its token. They are described in detail on the skill description card of the corresponding character. In this case, we have Knight Sharpshooting. Skills come in three basic types. Skills with this symbol can be used once per round on the player's turn. Once used, the player should flip the skill over until the start of the next round. And by the way, as you can see, this skill is not anywhere on here. Same with this one. These cards are double-sided and have additional information on the back. This symbol indicates that the skill can be used once per round, but their effect will persist until the start of the player's next turn. These skills will affect other players during their turn while the skill is active. So, when using these skills, the player should announce its use and then place it in the center of the table until their next turn. at which point they take it back and flip it face down. It will then be flipped face up again at the start of the next round. It should be noted that if the round ends prior to the player's next turn, then they also will take the token back. If a skill token does not have a special symbol like this one, then it can be used multiple times in a round. There are 4 basic colors of mana in the game: red, blue, white, and green. Mana exists in 2 forms within the game: pure mana and crystals. Pure mana is represented by a mana die or by a mana token in the player's play area. When gained, it must be used by the end of the player's turn or it disappears. Crystals are represented by mana tokens in the player's inventory. The player may have as many as 3 crystals of each basic color at a time. A crystal may be turned into pure mana at any moment of the player's turn. However, pure mana may not be turned into a crystal unless there's an effect that says otherwise. There are 2 special colors of mana as well: gold and black. These can only be in pure form and may never be in crystal form. During the day, gold mana can be used as mana of any basic color. When using gold mana, it is considered exactly the same as using the mana of the desired color. Keep in mind that during the day, black mana may never be used. During the night, black mana can be used to power certain effects, such as the strong effect of a spell. Gold mana may never be used at night. The source represents pure mana present in the world. Each turn, a player may take 1 mana die from the source and use it for the mana color shown on the die. At the end of the player's turn, they re-roll any mana die taken and return it to the source. Players may only take dice at the moment they want to use it, and players are not allowed to take a die and then not use it. Deed cards, units, skill tokens, and some tactic cards provide a variety of effects that may be used on a given turn. Many effects are described with shortcuts like Move X or Attack X. These terms will be explained in detail a little later. Other effects, however, might allow the player to modify the rules for the turn or to gain something they wouldn't normally be able to gain. For these type of effects, follow the text on the card. If the effect modifies some value or rules, the change always lasts until the end of the current turn, unless otherwise stated. If an effect tells a player to gain a mana token, the player takes the mana token of the corresponding color and puts it in their play area. If, on the other hand, an effect tells the player to gain a mana crystal, they take that color token and place it in their inventory. If the player already has 3 crystals of that color, then they gain a token of that color instead. If an effect tells a player to gain a new deed card, such as an advanced action, during or after their turn, the new card is placed on top of their deed deck unless stated otherwise. When a spell is gained from the spell offer, or if it's in the advanced action offer, which we'll explain how that can happen later, replenish the offer by shifting the remaining cards down and adding a new card to the top slot. If a card is gained from the unit offer, whether it's a unit or an advanced action from a monastery, do not replenish the offer. The unit offer is only replenished at the start of the next round. Also, any artifacts and any rewards won during combat are gained at the end of a player's turn. If an effect tells a player to discard a card, they put the discarded card into their discard pile. Wounds will never be discarded this way unless an effect specifically indicates that the wound can be discarded. If an effect tells a player to throw away a card, then if it's a wound, put it back in the wound pile. If it's absolutely anything else, remove it from the game and return it to the box. Players are always allowed to take back any actions they take during their turn, as it is much faster for players to play out their turn, change their mind, and take it back than it is to try to plan the entire turn in their head. However, players may never revert to a moment prior to new information being revealed. Once something new is revealed, such as a map tile, enemy tokens, a card from the deck, a die roll, anything like that, all decisions, moves, played cards, etc. are locked and must remain exactly as they are. New information also includes when one player reacts specifically to the current player's actions. This most commonly will occur during player versus player combat. Players place the reputation board in the play area and put one of their shield tokens on the 0 space of the fame track and one of their shield tokens on the center 0 space of the reputation track. Players sort the round enemy tokens by the symbol on their back and place them in stacks. I have this organizer, and so I leave them in there and shuffle them in between games, but the effect is the same. Players will do the same with the hexagonal ruin tokens. Players will need to have room for discarded tokens throughout the game as well. Shuffle the spell cards and put them in a face-down deck, revealing the first 3 cards as the spell offer. Place the pile of wound cards somewhere nearby face up. Shuffle the artifact deck and place it face down. Artifacts are never displayed in an offer. Prepare the advanced action deck in the same manner as the spells, as well as the advanced action offer. Shuffle the regular unit deck, as well as the elite unit deck. Reveal as many regular units as there are players +2. This will be the unit offer. During the course of the game, it's likely advanced actions will also be placed in the unit offer as monasteries are revealed on the map. Also, do not reveal any elite units at this time. We will get to those as the game progresses. Place the day-night board out with the day side up, and the players place their round order tokens next to it. The player who picked their hero first places the round order token at the top. The left part of the day-night board helps players remember the movement cost for each type of terrain. The right side of the board is known as the source, as we've discussed. If playing solo, obviously the round order tokens are not vital. The player now rolls as many dice as there are players +2, and these dice are placed in the source. When rolling the dice to place them in the source, at least half the dice must show basic colors. If more than half show either black or gold, then re-roll all black and gold dice until half of the total dice are basic. So, in this case, these 2 need to be re-rolled, and now we'd be good. Display the day tactic cards in an easily accessible place. Players may look at these freely. And set the night tactic cards aside for now. The tile deck composition will be determined by the specific scenario used. There are 2 types of tiles, countryside and core. Countryside tiles will be chosen completely randomly. For instance, with the full conquest scenario with 2 players, the players will randomly select 8 countryside tiles. Core tiles must first be separated into city and non-city tiles. So here are the 4 city tiles, and here are the rest of the core tiles. Once separated, the players randomly choose the indicated number of each. So with the full conquest scenario again, with 2 players, 2 city tiles will be randomly selected and 1 non-city tile. The chosen scenario will also determine if the starting tile will be placed on side A or side B. If side A, the player reveals 2 tiles to start the game. If side B, 3 tiles will be revealed. It's very important that all tiles throughout the game are oriented in the same direction. As you can see, the letter B here is oriented the same as the number 1, the number 10, and the number 2. These circle and star symbols will also help with the orientation. Keep site description cards and scoring cards nearby for easy reference. City cards and city figures may be set aside until later in the game when needed. The hero card represents the player's character. As we've mentioned, the lower section is the inventory where crystals are stored. Each hero also has 5 octagonal discs, which are placed here. The numbers on the bottom should be placed in numerical order. The top token of this stack represents the player's armor and current hand limit. In this case, 2 armor and 5 hand limit. The 6th blank token is used as the player's first command token. As we've mentioned, a player may have 1 recruited unit under their command per command token they currently have. And so since the player starts with one command token, they can only recruit one unit at the start of the game. However, every time the player advances to an odd number level, they will gain another command token. So for instance, if the player advanced to level 3, this token comes off, flips over, and we have another command token. Each player shuffles their 16 basic action cards and places their deed deck face down. The player then draws 5 cards from the action deck, which of course matches their current hand limit, and this will be their starting hand. Make sure there's enough room for a discard pile, and anytime a card is discarded, it's discarded face up. The player may also go ahead and retrieve their figure, which will be used starting on their first turn. 2 of these shields were already used, one for the fame track and one for the reputation track. However, the player has many more shields. These will be used to track the player's successes on the map. There is no limit to the number of shields the player can use, so if they somehow run out, they should find a suitable replacement. The player should shuffle their 10 skill tokens and place them nearby face down in a stack, and also keep their skill description card nearby. Finally, players should make sure they have space in front of them to play their skills as they gain them, and also space to play their cards as they use them during their turn. A round of Mage Knight is either in the daytime or the nighttime. Players will take multiple turns within the round. For the rest of this video, we will discuss an overview of what a round looks like, and then we'll get down to the details of a player's turn in the next video. For every round other than the first one, the first thing a player will do at the beginning of a round is prepare the round. First, the player flips the day-night board to the opposite side. Then they roll the mana dice, once again checking to make sure at least half of them are basic. If it's nighttime, any gold mana will be placed in the top right corner. If it's daytime, the same will be done with black mana. Next, the player needs to create a new unit offer. This is done by first taking all units currently in the offer and putting them on the bottom of the deck. If there were any advanced actions in the unit offer, they would go to the bottom of the advanced action deck. Next, deal the appropriate number of units into the offer based on the player count. Remember, initially this is only going to be regular units. However, if at least one core tile has been revealed, it's different. If at least one core tile has been revealed, then when the unit offer is created, deal 1 from the elite deck first, then 1 from the regular deck, and continue alternating until there are enough units in the offer. Also, if there are any monasteries on the map that have not been burned down, add 1 advanced action to the unit offer as well. So if there were 2 unburned monasteries, there would be 2 advanced actions in the unit offer. Next, the players need to refresh the advanced action offer. To do this, the lowest position advanced action card in the offer is removed and put on the bottom of the deck. Then move each other advanced action down. And finally, draw a new card from the deck to add to the top of the offer. The spell offer is refreshed in the exact same way as the advanced action offer. Next, collect all the tactic cards from the previous round and set them aside. Then place the correct tactic cards on display for all players to view. Next, each player ensures that any skill tokens that are flipped face down or banner artifacts that are flipped face down are returned right side up. If the player wishes, they may discard any banner artifact assigned to a unit at this time. All units are readied at this point. Even if the unit is wounded, it still will be readied. The player shuffles their deed deck to create a new deed deck, and then draws up to their hand limit. Now that players have prepared the round, it's time for them to choose tactic cards. Each player chooses 1 tactic card, starting with the player with the lowest fame, followed by the player with the second lowest, etc. If there's a tie for the lowest fame, then the player whose round order token is in a lower position picks first. In the first round, this means that the player who picked their hero last chooses the tactic first. When choosing the tactic, If it says when you take this tactic, such as preparation, then resolve it immediately. Once the tactics have been chosen, rearrange the round order tokens according to the tactic number of each player so that the lowest tactic number is on top and the highest on the bottom. So if this player chose Long Night, then they would now be at the top of the order. All unclaimed tactics are set aside. Players are now ready to play their turn. As we've said, players take their turns in the order stated by the round order tokens. After the last player takes their turn, then the first player continues play. If a player's deed deck is empty at the start of their turn, that player may announce end of round instead of playing their turn. If they do, then each other player takes one last turn and then the round ends. At this point, players would check the scenario description to see whether the game is over. If the scenario conditions have been met or if the round limit is reached, then the game is over and the player should follow the scenario description to determine the outcome of the game. If the game's not over, then continue playing the next round. Okay, so that covers the basics, the setup, and the round overview for Mage Knight. Be sure to come back in sometime in the near future. Might be a few weeks, but we are going to have part 2 coming out pretty soon in the next month or so. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And until next time, for Board Online, Board Offline.